I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Alright, thank you for joining us and taking your time out of the day to join us here today. I'm QA Jenny. If you can take out the notes that you've take a look at the notes that you've given me there, you'll see that we're discussing different topics and different factors that could lead people to commit crime. Currently, we're discussing circumstances, but what the upbringing was like. What the family conditions are like, and what they're exposed to when they're younger. And one thing that I'd like to touch on is Opotabo mentioned that life is about learning. What about school? What factor does school have to play in people committing crime? Do people attend school regularly? What factor do you think that school attendance plays in people committing crime?
Okay, in discussing about this, it's very confused point because there's a lot of issues that lead people to create crime. But the main point I can touch, school can play a huge role because a human being gets three types of educations. You got the street education, school education, and also house education. Now, in the case of like in the house was affected, so outside also was affected. So the only change that could succeed in the school. That's where when I realized, when I look at the issue I always talk in my life, even the book I write, I always say the issue that we face in Africa is the education system. The education system is a key for everything of life. So if we have a system that can tell children how they can do anything in life, I think we change a lot. But the point is one here, if we can have an education system that can show life, like on my point of view, I always think now, the school must have a system of like having stories, because stories educate more than readings. Where like maybe a short story, you show like, okay, look at the life for Tabo or for Ricardo, look what he did and what the mistake he did, but look what he did now here. So you would like to go this process, then the child can take a decision. Now whatever is affected to home is can open him, because in the other case in that, we take example, most people in the world are people who like who went through of trouble. Now you can show a child, it's not only about if you come in a poor family or you affect the home, but it's about you as, like Ricardo said, your decision, you're the author of your life. But unfortunately, not everyone in that chance, like in the case where someone can grow up with that mentality. It needs to have a system at school where we teach children, look what life about it. Look what the danger for the future. Look what it is. So at that point I come back and say the best way to change everything is to improve education systems. Because the education system does not really teach us what we're facing. Example, I gave example when I discussed UNICEF. They actually asked question. I studied CPUG, where they gave us a circuit design something which was designed on 1985. Then I asked question, why will you give me this one as a degree on official qualification qualified? Where the culture people are struggling? Why not good culture? Take something affecting electricity, give to me to find a solution. Even if I fail, at least you can take from that point an A, because this is a waste of time. At the end of the day, you give me a qualification qualified, no, not qualified, because when I go to really buy matter, I can't do nothing. Now you must call people to Europe to come fix our issue. So the main point we're facing in Africa education system.
Okay, tell me.
To add on what you are very much important, improving education system. You know, when I was in prison, there's something that I came up with. The time allows, I will do it. I want to call it a personal leadership course. You understand? Why personal leadership course? You know, in prison, they will bring pastors from outside or motivational speaker or like person. You understand? But then what I experience in that is this: we can be 50 inmates there listening to this person coming from outside. But not all the 50 of us will be affected by this person. You understand? Because he's got his own background that there's nothing to do with my background. You understand? But then there will come another guy, maybe he's a pastor, and then he will say, I was once a gangster. I was raised by a single parent. You understand? Then when he start saying those things, then I start to get interested. I start to listen now, because why am I listening? Why do you look like this? Why do you look so formal? Why are you a pastor? Why you look so normal? How did you get it right? That's what makes me listen now. Oh, you understand? So I listen to that person because he's right on my path now. You understand? So then from there I learned something that, no man, when you stand there as a motivational speaker or a pastor, what? You do not affect everyone. To another person you just, salute that guy, sound good what he says. You understand? So then I thought about it, and then this idea came to me that I should design a personal leadership course. A course that if there are 10 people here, you see, that's why I say to you, this is interesting me. You understand? Because you ask each and every person, rather than standing there and talk to a group. You're making a mistake, man. That's how they miss prisoners inside. They talk with groups. You don't talk with groups. Start with individuals so that you know how you can guide this person. You understand? So that's why I say when time allows, maybe you I'm fortunate, you will help me in that. You understand? Yeah, I will design this personal leadership course, and I want to take it back to prison. You understand? To take it back to prison. Because the problem in life, it's more about us, every one of us, not knowing that we are leaders of ourselves before she becomes our leader. I must know I'm a leader. The choices I was talking about, I make choices about my life. Do I want to follow you? So if I don't know I'm a leader, my life will never go right, because I'll be influenced in many ways. You understand? So that course, taking it to prison, taking it to Department of Education, that is my dream, my goal. Yeah.
Thank you, Gutabo. Yeah, you raised some very major factors in what you just said, and specifically speaking about influence. We'll move on to our next point of question, which is peer pressure. What kind of people do you surround yourself with? Do peers have any influence in your background, and any influence in your behavior, your psyche, your choices in general in life, especially when it comes to things like committing crime and use of drugs and alcohol, attendance of school, or anything of that sort. So what I'd like to find out from you guys, I'll start with Ricardo. What were your friends like? Did you have any role model in your life that you think influenced you? What kind of activities did you participate in as a youngster? Yeah, I'd like to just start off with that. What were your friends like? Why did you choose them specifically to be your friends? What kind of influence did they have in your life?
I think I had positive friends growing up. We were all doing karate. We were in the scouts, so we loved hiking. We did life-saving courses together. So my upbringing was always with people on my level, doing what I like. And I think that also grooms you, man, as a youngster. That's the reason why we want to get the community involved, because what we see that you lack this, So we need to import it now, so your future can be a bit better. Because now, kids don't do karate, they don't do sports anymore, they don't do camping, they don't do hiking, they don't know this stuff. So we need to bring up programs to bring that back into our communities. So you can look, listen here, this is my friends, man. We don't smoke, we don't drink, and stuff like that. If we have a party, we will have it as a group and just enjoy it there. And so peer pressure on my side was very, very little. Because from a young age, I wouldn't associate myself. So, like my sister them always used to say, if a person can't speak English to her, she can't speak that person, because speaking Afrikaans is going to affect their English. So you'd rather step up than use the liaise with me. If not, then stay away. So yeah, peer pressure on my side was very little. The minimum.
Alright. Let's go to you, Kuti. What do you think?
I think first of all, influence is the power. Yeah. But before you do that, we must have the information first of all, and it must be humble. Because if you go to influence, like as he saying, if you go to influence kids outside, they must look yourself as an example. Yeah. What you will say to the kids, they will look, hey, that guy is an example what he say to me. You understand? Well, when I speak, I'm speaking, but first of all, what you talk about, I was having time yesterday to write it down, and then I didn't know you will ask this question. But when I write for myself because I like to challenge myself first of all before I do something. So when I write about this question you're asking now, the influence you have outside. I write about information. Information is the power, you understand? And every person has influence. That is what leader is. And the more information we have, the more power we have. You understand? So in leading others, the more we can influence others in positive way. You understand? So for me, if you go outside in the street, must be lead like by example. You can't lead people, but every time you stay in the street, you busy with the drugs or alcohol. So your influences go negative ways. So in my mind, I have that.
I love it. So you need to lead by example. You need to be your own role model in order to influence others. I love that. I'll move on to Ubutabo and ask him with what he has stated previously about what role do you think you and associating yourself with the kind of people you did when you were younger played in you committing crime, or your behavior, or your personality even. What kind of people did you associate yourself with? Who were your role models?
As I've already said before, that my role models were criminals. Because they could smile. You know, it's fun when you're watching someone having a walk, eating an ice cream, like there's no tomorrow, carefree. You understand? I love that. So that's the kind of influence that that caught me. You understand? Because as I said, it's important. We are talking about children most of the time. If there is no mentor at home, then outside you don't know how to think. It's not about you are weak or you cannot think. It's that you don't have information. Even at home, they don't give you information that when you go outside, you might meet this and this and this. This is how you should respond. then it's not that you're dumb. You don't have information. You understand? So I didn't have information when I started to go outside the yard. You understand? So those things, they influenced me against crime. I didn't know how to choose friends. I chose the people that makes me feel good. You understand? Like the friends I have, they were people who like clothes. You understand? To wear nice was my dream. You understand? So because of that, I would do anything to look like them. I just wanted to fit in. You understand? I just wanted to fit in, and then the pressure was that in our time there was this thing of fashion.
Yes.
You were not just wearing like today. No, as long as you are wearing nice today, it's good. Not in our time. You are fake. You know because you know people what they are wearing, different as they are. You understand? So that was a pressure. So it leads you, even if you don't have nothing at home, there's no one to buy you anything, you will make sure that you get those things. And then you will go out and find the right friends who will support you and Rio like you understand? Won't take away that fear to go and steal. In our time, there was shoplifting. It was the thing of the day. We live by shoplifting. So my friends were people who are doing the shoplifting. You understand? My friends were people who are doing the housebreaking. You understand? So everything that they had, that is what I wanted. You understand? Today you don't carry wallets, most of the people. In our time, you have to carry a wallet when you're a man. You understand? And not any wallet. You understand? So you don't have money to buy this wallet, you have to go and do housebreaking. To have a leather wallet or snakeskin wallet or whatsoever. You understand? So those were the kinds of friends I had. And then the other thing, my friends were people, you know, when we were dancers, they were a big group of, they were called Amapansola. You understand? So the other influence, negative influence, is as those Mapansolas dancers, we didn't know much about love, relationship love. We were so much jealousy. You understand? If she stays in my street and then you come with that guy, you come and have a relationship, we'll attack you, my friend. Do you understand? That was the lifestyle we live. You understand? You were just suffocated in that life. You didn't have a choice. You understand? So you have to prove yourself you had to prove yourself in order to get respected.
Yes.
That was what was it. That was our lifetime. You understand? You have to prove yourself to be respected. Otherwise, you just keep quiet. Then we'll respect you in your own space. But you cannot do everything. When you start to do everything, we'll tell you, you sit down. You understand? Yeah. So those are the kind of lifestyle that always end at prison, that always end to death. You understand? They don't have a positive ending because you are doing what other people are doing. It's not you. You haven't discovered yourself or even thought about yourself. You just to be what life is outside. So where will you end?
Yeah, to add to what Mr. say, there's a lot of challenges that make us influence us to crime. Because when you are not doing what people do outside, you are not a real man. When you wear a cheap clothes, you are not a real man.
Yes.
When you are not driving, you are not a real man. When you are not killing people, shoot gun, you are not a real man. You understand? When you are not smoke drug, you are not a real. You know everything that influence in township. There's a lot of things influence us. You understand? So that's why we end up and say, man, I can't live that life. You see, because people undermine me every time when I go there. People doesn't respect me, doesn't give me respect because the way I'm wearing chicos, I'm not driving a car, you see. So that's why we end up with do crime. You see, because we meet with wrong people and we do what those guys will do. So that thing is not that thing come inside in our heart. Yeah. So we do the thing that we say you do that thing and then that thing work for you. So I think it will work for me also. But I don't know that thing I do, it will take me to jail. You see. So we live in poor pressure. We have pressure in our bunch. So that's why we end up in prison. Yeah. We are not born to go to prison. You understand? We want a good life. So we end up to go to prison because of pressure. We live outside. So that's why we end up, people say we are criminals. So that's life.
So it's a matter of basically also how you want to be seen by people and how you want people to see you.
Yeah.
So you end up being influenced by other people and how they live their lives and how they dress, and you want that for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's
Sorry. No.
continue.
But that is where it comes to what I said last week is your identity.
Yeah.
And it comes back to information. Like if people tell me, yo, this little fit, you fit, then I'll tell them, you don't get a thin Abrams. Or Abrams. Because I know my identity. Yeah. I know my identity. So you need to deal,
That's nice. Because I think the next video we'll discuss about this. But in the point, like in the case where I said out here, like we said at the beginning, with the people of people, tap people, there are people where they carry to respond as fast and quicker. And especially if they got the education or got the system that introduced them, this is bad. But for someone who got nothing, and unfortunately didn't involve that system, because like you're under pressure.
I hear you. But I like to take me as an example.
Okay.
When I failed standard 9, I said I'm not going back to school.
Yeah.
Then I started doing a job as a security. And I told myself, I'm not going to stop there. I did my driver's license through the security company. I did my Mat 3 through them. And from there, from a private security company, I went to go work for the airports company in South Africa, the company that owns the airports. And from there, they didn't want to promote me, so I resigned there, so I went to the police. So it depends upon you, man. How do you want to see yourself? Where do you want to be? It doesn't matter where you come from, because the beginning, it's not important.
That's what we're talking
It's where you're going to end. That is important. So your poverty in the township, that's okay. I was there, I grew up there, but I don't see myself there.
Yeah, you may be lucky, I would say, because you have that something you born that in you. But most people, majority people are followers. Most of majority people are followers. That's where leaders that you can communicate are able to control. So followers, the only way to change followers to introduce systems that can drive them to the wrong or to the good way. So it's difficult to go change a community and there's no system that can drive them. If you take a child that grew up maybe in Google, a child grew up maybe here in Goodwood, not the big
There's a difference.
It's not like because I want more clever, it's the environment. So our mindsets adapt to the environment. What do we hear, what do we smell, what do we see, and then that's what affects who we are now. So just like what I say now here, you see your friend come NASCAR and there's got a nice girl, they say, no man, today you sleep, tomorrow you say, no, I have to involve you, because you see other men. But if there was a system, like I said, educations, that showed them stories for another man who faced the same issue, but in first consequence, no, they always facing like this, but they told me at school that this is bad for me. So he can hold for that. But because there's no system of person, unfortunately, they involve the system.
I like that.
Just to add to what Emel and Ricardo are saying, I think even us, we are coming from different backgrounds, you understand? Well, I think Ricardo is also going to be relevant to the community where he comes from, because when you look at these communities, like when you talk about just playing. You understand? But now when you get people like Ricardo, it's not only him who is successful from that environment. You understand? Who can say now to like me, I was staying in Side C. My house is in Side C. You understand? I'm a warder, but my house is there. But I know the people there, but we'll talk to the guys who stay with me here. When I tell them, yeah, I'm going to Side C, look, they'll say, no, Side C, they will kill you there. You understand? So when I go to that community, I go with confidence. Than when I go to his community, Kobuletu or Langa, I will start, hey, the people, they don't know me there. You understand? They can attack me, they can rob my car, you see. But my community, they know. So I think we are relevant. Ricardo, he grew up there in Mitchell's Plain, and then he did what he did, but now he's working now. You understand? So he's a role model. And you understand? We are all role models now. So we need to, I think, Emil, you are right, because this program can go to the schools. You see, our testimonies, they can be used by schools.
Especially in the video 3.
I like what Ricardo was talking about, and he actually touched on the next topic that I wanted to discuss: the sense of identity. Your personality and your self-esteem. Does it influence you in your behavior, in your activities, in how you want people to perceive you? The fact that he's saying that he grew up from this environment, and personally for him, it's an inborn thing for him that he has such great determination, such great motivation and will to do better. But what about those people that don't have that? How do they build their identity? How do they get to the point that they see crime as something that they have to do, and a way that they have to live in order for them to identify as a man, as you explained. I would like Putaba to touch on this.
Yeah, exactly. What I wanted to say, it fits in what you're asking, because I wanted to answer something there. You know, in South America, there was a bush there. People used to go in there and disappear. You understand? Because they didn't know how to come back, which side they were coming from and all that. Because there were no longer footprints or anything that was put there as a mark that we were here and all that kind of thing. Then there's a system today. People, they use compass and all those kind of things. They know we're coming from the south. We came from the south. Now, if you want to guide or coach people, the moment you start by saying the past is not important, you are making a mistake. You cannot guide that person if you leave his past or her past. To draw a person out, know the person where it comes from. You understand? That's how you will get the personality of the person. You understand? When you help that person to find him or herself. You understand? And it always, as I said, I grew up an angry person. I never understand that. But the moment I was sentenced, life sentence, imprisonment, and then one day I find a day where God opened a day where I can sit alone, nothing disturbs me. And then comes a question in my life, no one ever asked me. The question said, Tabo, what's wrong with you? No one asked me that. It just came in my mind, Tabo, what's wrong with you? Then I said, what's wrong with me? You understand? But it was consistent. What's wrong? Until I pay attention to that question, Tabo, what's wrong with you? What do I want? What do you want here? I answered, I'm here for me and that. What do I want here? You understand? So, the thing is, to understand or to get to that question, I have to go back. You understand? Who was I before I become all these things? You understand? And then I found out that I was a young boy, always in my yard, sensitive about other things and all that kind of thing. You understand? I was a respectable person. You understand? Until I started to try and initiate my own things. And then someone wouldn't give me a chance or wouldn't try and help me or wouldn't guide or coach me. This is how it's done. And then when I realized that no one is listening to me, you understand? And then it changed everything. You understand? It changed everything. And then when I go out of the yard and then someone controls my life here, I have to live in fear. It changed, and then I started to get angry. But you know, when you cannot fight a person, the only thing that is left inside is anger. When a person is stronger than you, until you tell you one day you will fight back. But that one day, what is happening at the moment? The anger is growing. Your personality is changing. You understand? So what I'm trying to suggest in this, you understand? If your personalities change, whether you come from a negative background or from a good background, there's always influences in life. You understand? But they should, as you said, the improvement of education, there should always be systems that always take people forward. You don't need to come from a poor background or bad background. No, your personality will change. People from age of 50s, they start to be scholars. They never been that before. They start to beat their wives. They never did that before. But if what you're talking about, systems should be built that will always take people forward. Always assist people, give people something to think about, give people choices. The other problem is when you don't have information, you don't have a choice.
Coming back, maybe I brought it over to say that the process was not important.
On your side.
The thing is this, say for instance, I'm going to make a plain example. You're hungry. Now you make something to eat. Now 10 minutes later, you're full. What is more important? The way you are hungry or that you're full now?
That you fall.
Exactly. So your past is there, you learn from it. But don't stay there.
Yeah.
You don't stay there.
But the way you end, like you now, comfortable, writing my book, working for myself, that is important. Not where you started that angry little boy that you were at home, that didn't know where to go, or just took information from different people. But where you are now, it's important. That is what I wanted to bring over.
No, you're not wrong. It's a discussion. I said I see it. You are not wrong. It's not about
On some point,
that is what
on
I
some
mean.
point, it's playable. So it depends, like what you say, depend of the category of people or category of areas. So in each point there is the advantage and disadvantage that we need to be there. Now, when we come to general, we need to put like point one solution. Like when you get a point here, there's a disadvantage and disadvantage. Then we come to a point. So what the best? Then we put everything here, and I think this is the best way. Everyone will benefit.
But now the lack in our communities is the positiveness. That's the lack in our communities. Because why? They don't see it. They don't see it. I promise you, if I should take 10 boys for a year, every second month, we go to Hermanus, we go to Montague Springs, we go to all these holiday places for a weekend, for a year. That will change their mindset to like, that is life for me, man.
Show them the future.
To go on holiday, work to get there, and stuff like that. But now, our children don't even go on holidays. Even if you get something like a Gatsby once a year, it's going to be like a Christmas meal to you because you're not used to it. But now, we need to, our community needs to get used to something.
But in that point, you are 100% right, but not all the families are able to take their children.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they need mentors, they need leaderships, they need And I promise you,
see better
and I promise you, no, I'm a bodyguard by profession also. So I did a lot of corporate CEOs and MDs and whatever international companies that came to South Africa. And they would ask me, Ricardo, we invested $5 million into that, into maybe your education. Do you see any, how's your education? Then, you see now, our government gets money from all over the world, from different companies that are in South Africa, but we don't see it. All our government is telling us there's no money. But you got $5 million from General Electric, GE. You got $5 million from Volkswagen. You got $5 million from BMW. Because they all got factories in South Africa, so they give money to promote. But now, that's $15 million. How much rand is that into education? But then you tell us, listen, we can't build toilets. We need to sit with the pit toilets because we don't have money.
But how about you? You wanted to touch on this?
Very important point. And it's still there on the personality. And command, I still very important point. My bro, Mr. Medoc,
No.
once asked me, Tabo, do you think white children are wiser or clever than the black children? I said, no, I don't think so. And then he said, why the white children, they always have a higher rate passing than the black children. Then I didn't know how to answer that one. You understand? And then he said to me,
I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.